Hi, and welcome to another code along session for you on Python. At the time zone that you're in, morning, afternoon, evening. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful time together. If you look at some of my other videos, you'll probably find out that there are a lot of beautiful things that you can do with Python, right? One of them we're going to be looking at today is the Lambda function, also called anonymous function, right? And what's a Lambda function? The Lambda function allows you to quickly set up a function and destroy it. Use it once and move on. I'm going to show you an example quickly. Before we even look at any example, right, let's even do a quick reminder, a quick refresher about what functions are. You understand that functions are anything that take an argument, one or more arguments, or zero or more arguments, and returns a result. Whatever it is the result is, doesn't really matter. A good example, the simple print is a function. What does it take? It takes a string or anything you want to put in it, and it returns it on the console, right? I can define a simple function, for example, that really does nothing. Looks like a print function because when you do unchanged, right, it returns exactly what you expect. Now the question is, do you have to define a function for everything you want to do, right? Let's pick an example. Let's pick an example. You're trying to sort. Let's say we have a family of 2 people, right? Just a family of 2 people. Not a lot of things to talk about them. So just hold on a moment. Let me bring this up. Just wait a moment, please. Okay, so I have a small population I'm going to bring in here. Oh, let's call it family. So I have a family of 2, one's equal 29 female, the other KC 25 male, right? And okay, so who is older? I want to say, okay, who is older in this place? What's the let's see row, right? Like this, row, span, right? We got that one more. That works. I hope that works. So save this up. Oops, let me something. Oh, sorry, it should be a comma. It should be a comma. I think we should work now. Okay. So family check. So 3 people, right? A list of 3 people will be chosen. So now if I want to say, okay, who's the oldest here? If I do max family, now the question you ask yourself is, okay, how exactly do I, which one are we using, right? And we have an error. Why? Because really, we don't know who is oldest. We're trying to compare 2 dictionaries, and it's not going to work, right? So we have to find a way to go into each dictionary and go find the age, right? So we can decide to do a for loop and something like check each item in the list, right? If item is greater than previous item, then let me use the word yield item. And stuff like I continue to loop until, but then that's a lot of trouble, right? You can use the max as well. So I'm going to pick this up. Max has something called, let's look at this here. You can use a key function to get which particular key, or which key are going to use, or which particular function you use to compute the maximum. Interestingly, we're going to do something. Let's say we can define a small function called get age, right? And let's pass a dictionary into it. And just return get age. If you want to test this, you can just test it with get age family. Let's test first person. First person. Of course, you can understand that to get 29, right? If I run it for number 2, you should get 1. Okay, so we can use this. For example, you get age function and pass it as a key into the max. So we say max family. Instead of trying to just compare the dictionaries against each other, we're now using a key called get age. And you can see now that we have a full dictionary of the person that is oldest based on what? Her age, right? Or his age, based on her age. So somehow we've been able to use this to solve our problem, right? Because if you look at it, we've defined the function, we've passed the function into the max, right? And we have gotten ourselves the result that we desire. Now, this required that we had to create a function called this guy. So why do I have to go through all this trouble or create a new function and begin to store stuff in memory when I can actually define an anonymous function? Now, there comes the anonymous function. Remember, I defined something like this. So I'm going to try, let me copy this and paste it again. I'm going to try to convert this or change to an anonymous function. It's as simple as saying lambda s, which is this one, and as a parameter, right? Return s. So let me do this. The first s is the argument parameter. First s is what? Parameter, which is what's in the brackets, right? Second s is the, let me not use the word argument, let me just use the word the computation, or let's say transformation. Right? I'm going to explain that in a moment. So if I run this, for example, just showing there's a lambda function. So for the sake of simplicity, I am going to save this as unchanged. Right, so that of course if I want to change, it should return. Yeah. So what I can do is I can now, of course, this looks simple, right? If I just pass a 5 to it, it returns 5. So let's do something a little more complicated. Let's define a square root and then convert it to a lambda function. Number, square rather, and we should return number 2. Of course, if I do square 5, what should return? 25, right? Good. So let's convert it to a lambda function. The same way we did, let's just call it square. And we say lambda, what do you think it's going to be? Number, first one, right? Such that we return number squared. And of course, square If you try the same thing, it should return exact 25. So we've done the exact same thing here, but as lambda functions, right? So now instead of returning it as square and all, we can just use the lambda this itself and then pass 25 to it. So if I do this, let me make sure it's in there. Yep. And I pass 5 to it, sorry. So if you look, they look very similar. Square, which is this technically this guy, and we pass a 5 to it. And then what should we have? 25. So if you look very closely here, we did not even define a special function. We didn't have to save anything permanently in memory, right? We just use this and throws it away. Now the power in this is that if I come back to this command I'm trying to define, remember this one? So instead of defining, so let me come back and copy this. Instead of defining a full function to get the age, right? I'm going to replace it with a lambda that picks up, I'm going to type the exact same thing, picks up the bits and transforms it in a way that the age is gotten, right? So I've just, it's the same thing we're looking at here, exact same thing. If I run this, of course, it should just return a lambda, it takes a bit. So instead of using the whole get age, I can take this guy, let's go back up, and then we'll do a copy for this. I can paste it. I'm going to replacing all of this stuff with this. Run this, you see the exact same thing happens. Why? Because we told ourselves, oh, to save memory. It's probably one of the reasons why we use lambda, so that you don't have to save stuff always in memory, right? If you're going to be using a function once and forgetting about it, just pass it to a lambda, pass it to an anonymous function. So that's an example of what we just did here. We use an anonymous function to define the key that we're using to get the max, right? Of course, you can do the same, just pass it as main, and who's going to return? You can already imagine, dog. So you see how lambda functions can really get very powerful. Of course, we use simple, this is a simple transformation, right? You can as well do a very complicated transformation and then convert it to a lambda and then pass the lambda into anything you want. But I always advise, if your transformation is complicated, just store it as a function. Simple is always better than complex every single time, right? Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this. If you have any other questions, you can always leave a comment in the comment box, right? Leave a reply, drop a comment. If you have any, no man is an island, right? Subscribe, share your ideas, real world examples preferably, and I'm going to see you in the next video.